A Ukrainian MiG-29 is holding 200 feet above the Kryvyi Torrents, following the river's bend, northwest of Kostyantynivka, low enough that anyone on the fields below hears the jet only after it has already gone by. The pilot has both hands on the airplane, no autopilot, 560 miles an hour. It is the afternoon of July 4th, 2026, and 31 miles down the valley stands a 4-story block he has committed to memory from 3 separate sources. Drone footage, a satellite frame, one quiet pass by a friendly quadcopter. 9 Russian drone operators are working inside it right now, and 3 separate belts of air defense stand between the jet and that address. He intends to fly through all 3. The men in those batteries will spend the next several minutes hunting a fighter. Not one of them is going to think about the 550 pounds bolted under its left wing, which is the only thing in this story that actually matters. Those belts are stacked on purpose, and each one solves a different problem. Farthest back sits an S-400, reaching 250 miles an hour, there to own the sky over the sector and make any altitude above a few thousand feet unaffordable. In the middle, a Buck M3, colder, quieter, patient, waiting for whatever slips under the big system. And right on top of the building, a handful of Pantsir and Tor vehicles, short-legged and quick, handling anything that got past the first 2. Read that arrangement from the cockpit, and it is 3 doors with 3 different locks. Fly high, and the S-400 has you. Fly medium, and the Buk does. Come in close, and the point defense does. No altitude on that list is safe, which is why the plan never involves getting close to the building at all. Start with why he's down in the weeds. Radar travels in a straight line, and the planet does not. Anything flying beneath the curve of the Earth is simply absent from the screen, the way a boat drops off the edge of the sea as it sails away from you. At 200 feet, that curve covers him out to roughly 19 miles. Cross above the line, and the whole sector's screens fill in at once. So, he means to spend as few seconds up there as the mission will allow. The trade is a second half nobody briefs out loud. At this height, the ground is a faster killer than anything the Russians own. 200 feet at 560 miles an hour leaves no margin for a mistake. A bird, or 1 second of attention spent on the wrong instrument. No system reacts quicker than the time it takes an airplane to reach the dirt from here. Neither does a man. The valley is protecting him and trying to kill him with the same hand. And he flies it anyway, because the screens waiting up ahead are the more certain of the 2. The building is why he is here at all. For 7 days, Russian FPV quadcopters have owned the sky over Kostyantynivka. They sit above the rooftops and drop on whatever moves below. And what moves below are the trucks and the drivers, keeping Ukraine's 19th Corps fed. The crew flying them have been brazen about it, because the exchange rate is on their side, and they know it. Each quadcopter costs roughly what a phone costs. What it destroys is an armored vehicle priced in the millions. Run that trade for 7 days straight, and it stops being a nuisance and turns into a supply problem. Trucks that used to move in daylight now wait for weather. Drivers who used to take the direct road take the long one or don't go at all. Everything the 19th Corps needs arrives late, in smaller amounts or never. And none of it costs the Russians a single street. The operators work out of that 4-story shell in the industrial belt, antennas bristling off the roof, a repair bench and racks of charging batteries on the floor below, an assault platoon dug in outside so nobody walks up to the door. Ukrainian artillery had the coordinates all week and never fired. 2 reasons. The walls are heavy, and guns cover ground rather than thread needles. Bringing down one specific structure takes dozens of rounds, and across the distance, some of them always land wide. Wide is the word doing the work here. On open ground, a shell landing 30 feet off is a near miss, and nobody writes it down. On this street, it is the building next door. And these are not empty ruins. Kostyantynivka still has people in it, in basements and ground floors and stairwells, because leaving means using a road the drones own. Putting dozens of shells into that block to collapse one structure means accepting that several of them come down on families who have nothing to do with any of this. So the math ends in a sentence no commander wants to sign. Dozens of rounds, some of them long, some short, to get at 9 men behind one wall. Nobody was signing that, which narrowed it to one option. A fighter the Soviets designed in the 1980s to fight NATO now kept flying by western parts and hauling a western bomb into a Russian-occupied city. And it puts a pilot inside a decision that on paper is the kind that ends careers and sometimes ends pilots. Flying deliberately into 3 layers of air defense is not something anyone does for a target that could wait. Nobody signs that order for a warehouse or a parked truck. It gets signed because of who is in that building and because of what those 9 men have done to this city over 7 days. The entire mission rests on one judgment made by people on the ground, that the crew inside is worth putting an airplane and the man in it at that kind of risk. There is a clock on top of it all. Drone teams never stay put. They shoot, break down the gear, and set up 2 streets over. Ukrainian intelligence puts those operators in that building at 1540. The cockpit clock reads 1612. Everything the pilot believes about his target is 32 minutes old. And 32 minutes is enough for a crew like this to be gone. Now look at what's hanging on the left pylon, because it has no business being on this airplane. The MiG-29 came off Soviet drawing boards before GPS was even switched on. Its computer thinks it's analog and in Russian. It was wired for Soviet missiles and iron bombs that fall wherever gravity takes them. The weapon under the wing came 4 decades later, from the other side of the Atlantic. It expects instructions in NATO's digital grammar. The two of them have nothing in common. The Ukrainian engineers installed an interpreter, an MIL-STD-1553 data bus, the wiring language NATO aircraft speak, spliced by hand into a Soviet nervous system, pylons cut in Kiev machine shops, power leads threaded through service panels nobody ever meant to open twice. None of this came out of a factory. No production line anywhere in the world builds an MiG-29 wired for French ordnance, because no Air Force needed one until this war. Every airplane in this fleet was converted in a hangar, by hand, by people working off the weapons documentation and their own judgment, then tested by flying it and seeing what happened. In a commercial tablet bolted to the instrument panel, the kind of thing sold for watching movies on a couch, it runs the software that turns a grid reference into something the bomb can read. That consumer gadget decides where 550 pounds of high explosive comes down. Nothing about the arrangement is elegant. All of it works. He is still thinking about the clock, and his warning receiver clicks. Not the growl of a tracking radar, something quieter and worse. A mile and a quarter above him, lost in the glare of a white July sky, a Russian Orlan 10 is turning slow circles. It carries no weapon. It carries a lens, and that lens is wired into every missile battery in the sector. An Orlan 10 can hold in orbit like that for 16 hours. Watching is the entire job description. If it keeps the MiG in frame long enough, the crews waiting ahead stop having to search for him. They will simply be told in advance which patch of sky he's about to appear in. Everything the low-flying ball can be undone by one camera and a clear afternoon. But here's what the camera cannot do, even on its best afternoon. Zoomed in, steady with a clean line down in the valley, and Orlan sees an MiG-29. That is all it sees. The shape of a Soviet fighter moving fast over water, and that is what it reports. What hangs under the left wing is a dark line against a dark airframe from a mile and a quarter up. Every battery in this sector is about to be told an aircraft is inbound. Not one of them is going to be told what it is carrying. The pilot doesn't wait to learn what the Orlan got. He drops another few feet, close enough to the water to raise spray, and slides the jet into the next bend so the ridge comes between them. Terrain beats altitude every time. The trouble with terrain is that it only protects you while you stay behind it, and the launch requires height, and the fuel state keeps sliding the whole time. He came off an improvised strip more than 125 miles back, because permanent airfields near this front are Iskander bait, and nobody parks aircraft on them anymore. Full power at low level burns through a reserve faster than any gauge should move. The valley has slightly under 4 minutes left in it. After that, the ridge is quit. The ground flattens into open plain with nothing on it taller than a fence post. Crossing it means climbing. Climbing means being seen. And no version of this attack skips the climb. At 31 miles out, where the last ridge falls away, he pulls the nose up hard. 4 times his own body weight presses him into the seat as the MiG stands on its tail. He's not dropping the bomb, he's throwing it. Pilots call this a toss. American crews worked it out in the 1950s, so a fighter could put a nuclear weapon on a target from low level and still be far away when it went off. A shot putter does the same thing. All the energy goes in before the object ever leaves the hand, and after the throw is out of your control. The jet climbs steeply, releases at the peak, and momentum carries the weapon dozens of miles. The airplane never has to cross the target at all. The build for the trick comes due during the climb. Down in the valley, he was a shadow moving over grass. For these few seconds, he is a flare going up over a field full of people who have been staring into the dark all afternoon. Every one of them turns to look. Far back, an S-400 takes him instantly. That system reaches 250 miles, about Dallas to Houston, which is useless against something that shows itself for 3 seconds and dropbacks under cover. The threat that counts sits closer. A Buk M3, 6 rounds on the rails, and a radar that picks out aircraft flying 16 feet off the ground. Its 9431M interceptor crosses ground at over 40 times sonic velocity. The manufacturer advertises a hit rate of 9,999 out of every 10,000 shots. And the Buk doesn't have to go looking, because the Orlan already reported which square of sky to watch. At the peak, with the jet nearly out of airspeed and pointed at the sun, the weapon separates, lights off, and starts flying itself. The MiG has nothing left to offer it. The pilot doesn't stay for the show. He rolls inverted and pulls the nose down before the Buk crew finishes their solution, spending every foot he just climbed to buy speed, running back toward the dirt. 19 miles east, a Buk operator has him cold. A bright, steady return with altitude, heading, and speed all resolved. These are not amateurs. This crew has run the drill hundreds of times, in exercises, and then for real. And every step of it is muscle memory now. The radar found the aircraft exactly where the drone said it would be. The computer built the solution. The numbers on the screen are clean. The range sits well inside the envelope, and the target is doing the one thing that makes a fighter easy to kill, which is climbing slowly in a straight line. A finger is already resting on the button. By every measure this crew has ever been trained to trust, the next 10 seconds belong to them. Then, the return sinks, stutters twice, and quits. A ridge that barely registers on a map at that distance has taken the airplane off his screen. He is left staring at empty pixels where a fighter used to be. The Pantsir and Tor crews ringing the target never even attempted a shot. Their missiles run out at 9 to 12 miles. An aircraft that never comes closer than 31 days outside the fence the whole time, which leaves them exactly one thing left to shoot at, and it isn't the jet anymore. 550 pounds of steel arcing alone over the plane, tipping into the descent, running toward a roofline crowded with antennas. The last 6 miles of that fall cut through a dome of Russian noise. The bomb crosses it without seeing a thing, by design. 2 systems on that stretch of ground, a Pol-21 and an R-330ZH ZTEL, both exist to flood the air with radio garbage until a guided weapon can't hear the signal it needs. When conditions allow, they do something nastier. They counterfeit the satellite transmission and hand the incoming weapon a fake position, so it flies obediently into a beat field 6 miles from anything worth hitting. This is not a hypothetical. In this sector, extended-range JDAMs have been dying that way at a rate of 4 in every 9. Excalibur-guided artillery shells drop from 70% accuracy down to 6. Some of the most expensive precision ordnance the West builds, guided flawlessly into open farmland. The AASM crossing that dome ignores all of it, because it stopped listening to satellites the moment it left the rail. At separation, it copied the jet's heading into its own gyroscopes, and after that, it kept its own books. Speed, elapsed time, momentum, arithmetic perform inside a sealed box. You cannot jam a conversation that isn't happening. Inside one of the jamming vehicles, an operator watches a thing he was told he would never have to watch. The contact on his display refuses to wander. He calls the Pantsir battery beside the target, the last shooter with any reach. The crew locks and fires. But a falling glide bomb is a wretched thing to intercept. Nothing is burning, so there's no heat to chase. Its radar return is roughly suitcase-sized, and its path is very nearly vertical. The interceptor sweeps a wide arc through empty air behind it. Beating the jamming and beating the missile still leaves one problem, and it's arithmetic. Inertial navigation drifts a little more than every mile because small errors add up. A JDAM puts itself within 16 feet of an aim point when satellites are cooperating, and within about 100 feet when they aren't. Over 31 miles, the gap between these two figures is the gap between a window and the brickwork beside it, which is why the choice of weapon that morning decided everything. Only a handful of people on that base knew which of these 3 types went on the rail. The Ukrainian-built Veridnovak made it at home, so Kiev answers to nobody, good for 37 to 50 miles. The American JDammer, gliding on fold-out wings with no motor at all, or the French option, which carries something the other 2 don't. Here's the part worth sitting with. Any of the 3 can go through a window from 31 miles out with an error under 10 feet. All 3 are that accurate, and not one of them cares which airplane brought it. That is a quiet revolution bolted into the MiG's wing. The bomb does not need a fighter. It needs a push and a set of coordinates, and after that it's on its own, and better at the job than the airplane could ever be. The jet does not aim. The jet does not track. The jet does not even have to see the target, and in this case, it never will. Which reframes everything the pilot has done since takeoff. He is not attacking a building. He is a delivery driver who has to survive long enough to make one drop, and the entire Russian defense of this sector is built to stop an aircraft that stopped mattering the instant the pylon let go. 5 miles from the building, the bomb's nose comes alive, and the question is answered. It's an AASM Hammer, a conventional 550-pound bomb body with 2 French additions, a rocket motor at the tail, stretching its reach past 43 miles and driving it hard enough to break concrete, and up front, an infrared seeker. It measures the view against a picture stored in its memory and trims the fins 50 times a second. A single round costs more than a house. In return, it will put a warhead through a doorway from clear across a city. The Sea War opens its eyes on a world it has never seen, and light is not what registers. Temperature is. The building is glowing, a generator thumping away in a corner, racks of batteries drawing charge, 9 men breathing in closed rooms. Against July concrete that has sat in a shadow since noon, the whole floor stands out. And there's the cruel part. The heat handing them to the seeker is coming off the exact equipment that made them dangerous all week. The bomb knows what shape to look for because Ukraine spent days assembling it. Antennas listed for the control signals the operators used to fly their quadcopters, and bearings taken from separate positions crossed over one roof. A reconnaissance drone confirmed it's visually from a distance that never drew attention. Then someone entered those numbers by hand into the tablet, screwed to a fighter's dashboard. The seeker finds its match and shifts the fins 3 degrees. It is going in through the window. Someone in the room hears the whistle. Nothing else happens after that. The hammer enters the frame at better than 450 miles an hour. Its fuse is set to ignore the wall and wait, so the detonation happens deep in the room rather than against the facade. In a sealed space, a blast has nowhere to vent. The wave rebounds off the walls and drives back through itself, harder each time, the way a shout in a concrete stairwell comes back louder than it left. 3/1000ths of a second erase everything that made this place work. Screens still showing live video from quadcopters hunting the streets outside. Wall maps with Ukrainian positions inked in red. The hands and the minds behind all of it gone before a single one of them registers a problem. And that's the whole contribution of the bomb, which turns out to be the smaller half of the afternoon. Those 550 pounds were only the match. The charge itself was already stacked on those floors, hauled up the stairs by the Russians themselves across 7 days. One floor down, a second before impact, a technician seats a fresh battery pack into a charger. He's done it 1,000 times in 7 days. He never finds out what the room around him actually is. Lithium battery towers, RPG warheads, blocks of plastic explosive, canisters of thermite, a drum of diesel. The largest single explosive charge anywhere in Kostyantynivka, and he is standing in the middle of it. Lithium cells don't detonate, they run away. One cell overheats, cooks the cell touching it, and the failure walks down the rack until hundreds are burning together past 600 degrees Celsius, hot enough to turn aluminum liquid. That heat works its way to the stacked RPG rounds, and their shaped charges begin cooking off in sequence. The thermite catches at 2400 degrees and begins chewing straight down through the floor slabs like acid. The batteries that kept those quadcopters airborne all week are now doing the precise opposite. On the roof, the mast that gave the crew coverage over half the city folds inward and drops. Story by story, the structure consumes itself. What's left is burning rubble sitting on top of what used to be a nest. A mile up, a Ukrainian reconnaissance drone films all of it. Nobody needs the footage to confirm anything. The proof arrives on screens across the sector, where the control links of the quadcopters that own the city for a week blink out one after another. A cell that size was flying dozens of sorties a day across several miles of front. Tomorrow's count is 0. And well to the west, fuel gauge sitting in the yellow, a fighter older than its own pilot slips back across the last Russian line. The smoke from its work is already too far behind to see. The change on the ground is immediate. The Russian assault groups working their way through Kostyantynivka lose the eye that had been guiding them and killing defenders on their behalf. The 19th Corps spent 7 days working beneath a permanent ceiling of engine noise. Now it starts clearing streets block by block with something it hasn't had all week: empty sky. And this city is worth the trouble. Kostyantynivka anchors the southern end of the Donbas fortress belt, the line that holds the entire Donetsk front together. Lose the city, and the road deeper into Donetsk swings open. Moscow has been playing accordingly. The Institute for the Study of War priced out June for them. Close to 1,300 Russian casualties per square kilometer gained. Carry that rate straight forward across the rest of Donetsk, and the arithmetic runs past 6 million men. So set the two columns beside each other. On one side, the thickest, priciest air defense network anywhere on this front, an S-400, a Buk M3, a ring of Pantsirs and Tors, a jamming dome that has been eating million-dollar Western munitions for months. On the other, one Soviet airframe from the 1980s, one French bomb talking through a tablet, and one window. Every Russian system performed exactly as advertised. It searched, it locked, it jammed, it fired, and the building still burned itself to the ground from the inside because none of that hardware ever solved a weapon that stops taking calls the second it leaves the rail. Tonight, Kostyantynivka is still Ukrainian. Hit the like button and subscribe if you want more of these pulled apart piece by piece. And if you enjoyed the video, then watch how a single Ukrainian drone slipped through a bridge Russia had guarded 3 different ways.